camera. So I think once we start there, I think we're live there, but I don't know. Oh, I have to flip it. Let's see if that works. Let me see if this works if I flip it. Oh, your camera's blocked. That's what it is, you guys. I'm sorry, I'm using Aseer's phone. Look at Aseer. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm using Aseer's phone. So, just wanted to hook that up. Okay, we're good there. I'm gonna see if we're good here. You could start talking and welcome everybody. I'm actually coordinating all this on, what you call it, on
different devices.
yeah, on Facebook. We're on YouTube right here, and we're on Facebook now. So I just wanted to welcome everyone, say what's up. Hey, you
Peace.
guys. It's good to see everyone. Add a title. You can reach more people. I'll just add one real quick. I don't know how to even do that. Okay, let me just do that real quick. You can carry this here if you like, real quick. If not, I'll be here in a minute. It's very rude. It's hard for me to talk and type at the same time. Super Heru Radio with this here. You can continue. This is on, puppy.
Okay.
This one is on.
I
We're
see
on.
somebody
We're
just said what's up.
on live. And just hear the Duke of Tears.
Islam, everybody.
This is what happens when you're not used to doing lives and you don't have like anybody helping you. I'm not really stuff like this, but here we go. And then that's live on there. So yeah, we're just taping different stuff, trying to reach people and say what's up now that we're out of that loud space. Good evening, everyone. I'm Celina Cordova L. This is here the Duke of Tears. I am just trying to do a couple different things at the same time. There we go, we're good. I just wanted to welcome Aseer. You know, it's not often that we take some time like this, but I just wanted to thank everyone for even entertaining the small video I posted last night. Let me keep it ultra real quick. Sometimes don't believe, like, I don't think that people believe in certain things that I sometimes say. Last year for me personally was a time in which, you know, sometimes people ask, hey, you know, can I do a FaceTime with you? You know, are you teaching yoga during the days? Just little basic stuff. And because I was living in such a space, if anyone did get to hear, I posted a basic like 20-minute video of what we were experiencing last year in our living space. Now, when we did move there, I didn't expect to experience that or go through it. It wasn't something that they expressed. And I did ask, you know, you guys going to be having any major construction? No, you know, basic stuff. But 2 months upon us moving in, they shut the pool down and it just got really loud with construction, as you may see. Now, when I'm going through certain stuff, or if anybody, and this is for anyone, if you're going through certain things, whether it be a divorce or you're breaking up with someone or there's noise in your space, for me, what I would recommend after having gone through certain things now is that you don't necessarily talk about it until you're outside of that space or until you find a remedy, right? So specifically because it was so much noise, it was such a chaotic disruption of any order and peace that I was trying to have mentally, that I just decided to get some noise canceling headphones. And you know, a lot of people had some comments like, oh, they would do this, they would have taken it to court, they would have, you know, got, all of those choices are there for us to make. But in my life at 43, I want to start not only really consistently practicing grace and just being a woman, meaning that I don't want to always be in a fight or having a debate. It was almost like once I said these certain things at around the age of 40, that's when certain tests came through to really test R and my resolve. So just in being in that space, it was so difficult to hear myself and my own thoughts that I became really married to these noise canceling headphones, and they were amazing for both of us. You know, we didn't want to complain about where we were because it was a gorgeous space, you know, gorgeous view. But, you know, when there's people outside of your home for 8 months straight, Some people ask what were they doing. That's the same thing I wondered. At times for about 4 months they just stayed right in front of our home, and then they got the pulley to like go up and down, but they didn't do anything except chip away. I guess they were trying to remodel the outside of the building and chipping away at asbestos with that jackhammer for 8 months, whatever their technique was. My purpose last year was to stay consistent in creating products and to really think about my blessings and where I've come from. Now, that might not have been what a lot of people would have considered the right thing to do, but to not be drained during the day, to not always be in a battle, or to not always be combative. Sometimes you got to take the L and be like, you know what? It's not going to go down the way that I thought it was. I had ideals of being able to do yoga videos and to share with people much more frequently than I found myself doing. But again, when there's noise like that, you're just thankful for 6 o'clock to come and to be like, wow, now I can take these off. And once we took our headphones off, it was almost like, let's just enjoy our home space in the evening, because it's the only time we're gonna get. And he had to make phone calls, he had to do a lot of work. So again, when people, I felt intuitively that for that whole year, a lot of people sometimes feel slighted because you always have an excuse. You're always like, I'm not going to be able to hear you during the day, or, I can't be heard during the day. And that was really my driving force, and also just kind of having a breakdown in being like, I got to film this, because people get real bold when they think they're not being watched, right? And for 6 months, we stayed quiet. We both stayed quiet. And then finally he was like, nah, whip out the camera. So the moment that I whipped out the camera, which was months ago, of course, the energy shifted because the construction workers felt harassed and violated. And again, I knew what was going on, but to be in a space again where this was going to be my focus was going to take away not only from me creating, but also from just being in a space where I can be grateful and look at what else is going on in the world and say, wow, at least I'm in a home where I can shut everything out, drop my curtains, and go to work, and no, I can't do X, Y, and Z, but, in being able to persevere through anything. Sometimes I wonder, like, as someone who's a businesswoman now, it wasn't always like this for me. I wasn't always in a space where I was able to move if there was havoc in my environment. And to be able to do so was such a reward for me, that not only did God and my ancestors reward us, but I just decided to not make it, again, sometimes people think, oh, you're complaining too much, it's always over. Deflect all of that, because oftentimes the person is persecuted for doing something to have ensued such energy. And I swear to you, just from doing a little yoga, and I don't play music, there was never anybody in my, all the reasons why, I still know that people aren't going to necessarily believe, my story. So, in order for me to help people and encourage people and give advice about how to get over, how to stay disciplined, how to stay creative, sometimes for me, I like to be able to drop the curtain and say, look, even though this, that, and the third was taking place, I still decided to say, no, I'm gonna allow my business and the products that I want to make to be the focus. And yeah, I might not be able to do what I thought I could do, but how can I shift my energy and adjust a little to get more accomplished in ways that I might not have, envisioned. And that's personally, we didn't allow it to really make us argue in our home, and that in itself was a meditation. So I shared it because, for a whole year, not more than maybe like 20 instances took place where I found myself having to explain to people, I can't do it between 9 to 5. And, sometimes I feel like, of course people aren't going to believe this. So, I just wanted to just take a moment to thank people that have encouraged us to be outside of certain distractions, and to know that we can have more. But to be honest, you don't start off in a mansion or in a house, or For me personally, I didn't want to ensue certain debt and attract certain energy that was going to deter me from being able to make products and to do certain things that I wanted to accomplish. So again, we all have choices as to what battles to fight, but I didn't want my home environment until I found an exit strategy and a new home to be anything that I shared with people. But at the same token, sometimes we as individuals will pigeonhole each other or almost make it not cool to share certain things that one may go through. But to be honest, that's really how I've learned how to stay disciplined and to shift and to not take things so personal. Is that when things are happening personally, to raise above, and even if I gotta lie to myself with the motto during the day and say, none of this is a reflection of who I am and what I'm doing, the intent behind stuff, to not let it alter my joy and the fact that we did move into a better space than we were previously. Before that was something that I wanted to applaud regardless. So, even to be in a space where, in having shared that, sometimes I said to Aseer, I don't even want to, because it's going to make people think, oh, she's obviously doing something that's not aligning her. No, the secret is to anything metaphysically is sometimes when you are on the right road and you are on the path to personal liberation and to helping and sharing and to creating things outside of what your position is, it can not only be a challenge to the status quo, but certain energies at play might not necessarily want you to be able to ascend like that. So you've got to take those tests as personal victories that you obviously are doing something right. You obviously are doing something good if there's so much that's trying to deter and to distract. So that was really my purpose of sharing it, because after not being able to talk for a year, I also felt that was part of the purpose, was to quiet my mind, was to get me to not want to talk about anything real and to just keep me in a space of, working in the background. Background work is great, but without marketing, without sharing a product every day, it started to feel as though this was my only lot in life. Like, nah, as soon as I get into a place where I can hear myself, I'm going to be able to be more productive at nighttime, because I won't be holding on to the nighttime as such a comforter, So I just want to thank people for, sometimes having patience when there's emails sent, because I do value the personal emails I send to people. And also just taking time to say, look, I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but based on this noise and based on this blood-curdling baby outside, I started to even believe, like, if it was my child, there would be cops at my door because of how I look, And again, to not take things racially, to ascend and say, this is not a racial attack. This is, sometimes I'm lying to myself, but I've got to, because it's so obvious what you guys saw take place, but there is no Help Me Howard, there is no councilman. I did write letters, I did think, and then I became the problem because, oh, that's the annoying girl that's gonna write about the, I didn't know that the floor we lived on was also like the Airbnb specialty floor that was rented out a lot. So it's also the floor that a lot of, I guess they felt they can do a lot of stuff under and in front of. But for the 800 square feet that existed, to always position themselves in front of us, I just felt was really obtruse. So, instead of giving that energy as a lot of people might have recommended, I didn't want it to distract me from being grateful that I could walk 4 blocks away, 3 blocks away, and go to the beach if I really felt to. And, just using it as a time to produce. So again, the road to success is not always, paved on pearly tiles. It's sometimes difficult, and you've got to not take things personally and say, this has got nothing to do with me. I'm going to use it as an opportunity to save and figure out a springboard. And in doing so, I'm so grateful. So all of that's to say, we're going to start sharing more and just being more present in the evening for people. I want to be able to answer more. And so the same way every month I made a different product for a different astrological sign is the same way I want to this year challenge myself to every week being able to share a different product, why I created it, the journey behind why it's so important to, and all of this skincare stuff, I love it so much, but I also have been listening for a while, yeah? And a lot of it is to say my purpose and my intent is not to deter anyone who might be invested in chemical skincare or in derma peeling or in chemical peels or in anything like that. That's not why I started doing what I was doing. I just wanted to create an alternative and a true alternative to fragrance-free, paraben-free, natural products that are really made by hand, by myself. And, in 2010, when I came out with my first labels, it said Ancient Skin Alchemy on all of them. I came out with 5 products. I'm going to share this story, but, I always wanted to create a label that was unique to me and that I didn't see on a lot of different companies. So to have my URL across the front was something that I didn't see on a lot of different products. And I said, even though a lot of people might not get it, I want to put my URL on the front so that if anyone has it in their home, they don't have to go to the website to know. They can see where they got the product from, and that be a way that it's, it circulates. So again, Ancient Skin Alchemy, to have that on my labels in 2010, I didn't know then that, terms that weren't really modernized were going to be something that people were going to hug and embrace. So all of that to say, stick to your ideas. And even years later, I've revamped labels, and changed a lot of how, because I have the money to do waterproof and to do the graphics that I want and to invest in someone who's better. All of that's great, but I didn't change Ancient Skin Alchemy being on them. I didn't change the URL being across the front of my labels because I wanted that to be my signature, no matter who else made it theirs, no matter how many people might have been inspired by certain things. So, again, don't take these things as deterrents or as disses. There's sometimes affirmations, again, that you're doing something well, even if you're not in that space zone where you've been in certain magazines. People are obviously watching, even though you don't think that they are. So to pass that over, I think I did like 12 minutes, 10 minutes, but 20 on my own. But again, Aseer stuff is blocked on both platforms. So we wanted to share it through YouTube and through Facebook, and also just share it so that we can upload it tomorrow and just start to challenge ourselves to do more publicly. But, thank you for being like, no, you worked your ass off this morning. At least at nighttime now, we got to start doing more. And, he's like, I want to interview you, babe, about what you do, all the stuff we talked about, this, just we've been grateful to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it. The more you move forward, the more negative things or things that appear to be negative will happen to get you to.
We'll just so you're seeing this camera.
The more negative things will happen and things will manifest in order to get you to feel like what you're doing is wrong. And we live in this fake cancel culture. If I don't like what you say, then everything you're saying is wrong. I care about what you say so long as it fits my narrative of the situation and you. All of this fake,
kind of like
I really care. I care about what you say so long as it doesn't, alter my view of myself. So all of this fake caring, it's just a lot. Everything that could have gone well for a lot of people right now is going the opposite due to everything being fake. Due to a lot of people going along with the narrative, being paid off, thinking that socialism is a means to economic stability, and it's a joke. It's never been true. Yet, our people are not mitigated on logic, you know what I mean, and real cognitive reasoning, those things are no longer taught or passed down. So you gotta just really be about what you about, man, and don't let people or situations or circumstances alleviate how far you're willing to go to achieve your end. Because in the end,
Mm.
anything outside of yourself is technically an illusion anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, we exist, but we exist in our existence. But our existence is not necessarily your existence. Yet that existence is shared through this medium that we both agree exists. But in actuality, it's just really made up of a bunch of zeros and ones. So this is how I express myself, and you express yourself the way you do, and then through a common reaction or rapport, we get to an understanding. Well, that time is done, and we should stop striving to alter ourselves to accommodate things within a reality that are not willing to do the same for you. So, as I said, your opinion matters so long as it doesn't contradict the narrative that everybody got to be about. You know what I'm saying? Like, traditionally, we as man and woman, original people, we're very conservative. You know what I'm saying? We're not into a lot of the I'm not just talking about Celina and Aseer or man and woman or original man, original woman. I'm talking about like just the community and how we were raised. Like, my mother wasn't out in the street like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that to diss anybody who moms was. I'm just saying that that's not how I was raised. No, like, my mother wasn't out there like that. My father wasn't necessarily out there like that. He wasn't necessarily out there with me. You know what I'm saying? And my mom's based on the mitigated circumstances that they were dealing with at the time. But I'm not so judgmental or fool enough to agree or admit that or judgmental to believe that I can judge the circumstances that he was in with his wife. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that was his wife. So regardless of whatever other shorty he was with, he married my mother. You dig what I'm saying? So there was something in that relationship that was cemented enough for him to claim her and for them to create a union by which they created a seed. And it's like, it seemed like it's somewhere we lost focus of the fact that being together is greater than the sum of being separate, or like being in a relationship with someone is a partnership and not a competition. Like, all of that was the European, Eurocentral ideals injected into the so-called black community, specifically between the years of 1965 and 1975. That's facts. So people can debate that or whatever, but when I see people like Maxine Waters sit there with somebody like a Meg Thee Stallion, and then they are discussing the empowerment and the social image of so-called black women, I want to vomit in my mouth. You know what I'm saying? But that's me. That's because I know the substrata agenda that these two demons are trying to convince the rest of the sisters out there that may not have the politicized mind that I do or the Celina do. So that don't mean that because they believe that these are real people and that these people really have an agenda, that somehow or another, by this woman degrading herself, somehow empowering you to get you to demean and do the same to yourself. But then we see instances with somebody like a Cardi B, for instance, where she'll be on live, hear her song playing, her daughter there, and you see her run to turn off the TV, which means that she don't feed that poison to her children. Therefore, what that says to me is that you are just the prey. You just the fool for whatever agenda these people want to put upon you. And due to your hateful spitefulness of yourself or of men or of your father or of your mother or of your environment or of how you were raised or how your your economic status, all of these reasons why, we will glorify our destruction and create an industry by which we are constantly debilitating and debasing ourselves to the world stage, and then wonder why nobody respects us.
Huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta sometimes take responsibility of the fact what's going on, man. I just feel like that whole situation was a gang stalking ritual, but it was also, talking about the last crib, it was also a situation by which people who are used to subjugating or feeling like they're in an economic bracket above a certain people, when they see people that look like us above them, and then they can't even qualify you as a Negro, black, colored, like, it creates a whole nother, like, these people start looking deep within themselves. It's like, because I realize, like, they feel like if we are doing well, they are going down. Like, they don't believe that you can be up and they can be up at the same time with you. If you up, that is a sign to them that they are down. That's across the board, whether you're dealing with Chinese people, Puerto Rican people, whatever type of people, it don't matter. You, whether you know it or not, have been deemed the world's slave class since for the last 245 years. Whether you realize it or not. It's not that the word slave mean black, and that's the funny thing. Prior to you, it was them, but they just got you to put the jacket on, and basically didn't make slave synonymous with Slovakian. They just made the term, the function of a slave synonymous with a so-called black, and you ran with it because the government give you money for that.
Thank you for being aware of that, Kim.
The government give you money for that, bro. They give you money. People get money. This is they're turning it into they turned it into a social welfare, communist. You could have a business. They literally would shut people business down to give them money. So the government can give them money. But remember when they was coming up in the 80s and the 70s and stuff, and they was building, and they was saying that was a welfare thing, that this was a capitalist society, and people need to pick themselves up by their bootstraps.
Absolutely.
And all of that, and you can't just be getting something for nothing. You shouldn't want the government. Okay. I can't see you either.
It's okay. And you're talking. I don't want to be in the camera, and that's the one we're taping for the upload. So it'll be, you're not shut out now. I don't mind not being in it.
You shouldn't be in a situation where people feel like they can dictate your perception of yourself based upon the prescribed words and semantics and things that they've used to label you to justify why they're cheating you. That's what's happening. They've all been cheating us. They all work for the same people. The paper just came out the other day, yesterday, what was it, yesterday? I think it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday, where they just came out and said what we've been saying. Go back and look at the Black Nazi tape I did. Go back and look at some of the other ones. We told y'all, man, the New York Police Office Department was working with the FBI and the CIA to not only assassinate Michael Luther King, but Malcolm X and everybody else. And so it just came out, another so-called deathbed confession, where another white man that came out and said how he was down with the killing, and how it was orchestrated by the police and everything. Everything that we've been talking about. And the fact that it was also a cross nexus between people that was involved with the so-called nation. And to keep it real, the nation was never the same. They never recovered from being associated with the assassination of their prince. Because no nation that allows their monarchy to be assassinated and mocked can ever rise to prominence again. Don't believe me? Look at Russia. Everybody know that. Everybody know that Russia was low-key cursed because they got rid of the black czars and all of them and killed them to set up their, little Bolshevik revolution and all of that. That was just another form of fascism or totalitarianism. Yet that's not even taught in school no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, Go ahead, Nick.
No, and that's why there's different levels of understanding and different levels of, education. Sometimes, it can be over somebody's head to understand a concept because it's just not something that we were taught. It's not that you can't grasp it once it's being broken down, but that's exactly what I was thinking about the women's lib movement and all of that, and how a lot of women really have been economically duped and just emotionally kind of robbed in believing that, hey, something that works for women that don't look like us might work for us. And again, the things that work for other people, the way in which other people can act, doesn't necessarily mean that that equation is going to work for you or your family. And I can take that small seed of a thought and exasperate it, but it's to say, certain medicines that might work for certain people might not work for us. Certain skincare products, it can go across the board. Certain foods, some people can eat meat every day and not be impacted. Some people can't. So the diet in which this person follows can't be the diet in which you follow. And the thought process or the things that, or how other businesses might make money might not be in the way in which you can. So again, don't think, oh, because I don't have a this or that, then it might not be successful for you. You have to figure out what works for you, for your archetype. No matter what I do, when people walk into this camera's a little different. When people walk into an elevator, I just told them this the other day, they naturally jump when they see me. I'm 4'11".
What people? Not black people.
No, not black people, but again, I'm graduating out of the space of even talking in terms of race. You guys will hear it, I don't have to always highlight it, but because that's just something that I'm starting to practice. But personally, it's just, to be reminded that, okay, I walk into an elevator, I stick myself in the corner usually, and I'm sometimes the last thing that people will see, and they literally will jump. I'm 99 pounds on a good day, 4'11", has nothing to do with my size or my stature. It has to do with an energy, something that I emulate. And I'm not the boogeyman, but having darker skin that looks like this under a black light can be scary for most. And I know that that can be the impression that a little girl might get, jumping in a supermarket because she sees me. That's something that I've learned to embrace and to flip. But not everybody has the strength to do that. So of course they're gonna want to wipe out this color because this comes with the responsibility. But the responsibility and the reward, again, can be very great. So it's all in how we think about things and look at things and how we program ourselves. But I thought about that, and that's something that we talked about the other day, just in terms of being on the anti, almost like women rejected me as a female because, back in the day I was willing to see the inconsistency and like, okay, no doubt, if you don't want to be with somebody, you don't have to, but to keep children from a parent is just wrong. But you don't vocalize that around a group of women that might be practicing such, because not only are they going to want to exercise you from their space, but they're not going to trust you around them. You're going to come off anti this. We had a huge discussion about that. Like, damn, I played my hand too quick in, expressing what I believed in, when really I needed to learn what I've learned, what you guys saw on the tape. If you hear a screaming baby and everybody in the building is ignoring it except you, you're going to come off real. I said things, and you know what the management said? Oh, well, she's a single mom. Let's have compassion for her. And I wanted to say, you don't have compassion for me for anything. Like, you've stole, for example, I've had a number of packages, all sneakers, stolen from that building. And it's just to say that I made complaints. I filed a police report. They don't care. People don't. And having learned how deep not someone cares goes has made me say, let me pull back, because I'm going to be taken down this road, and at the end of the day, I might not even have any resolve. There might not be any remedy unless what I bring into my own life. So again, it's the choices we make are very, very big right now. And a lot of times I do think that women were encouraged to just not support men that were less financially stable, less economically consistent, less, all of these judgments when really, you know, like I said years ago, I really didn't care about certain things based on what I experienced in my family, but you have to share these things because how do you talk to someone about the value of companionship minus punishing someone from the family that they come from? How do you do that? You have to have gone through certain things to say, okay, I can have some compassion and understand why you might be, when other women in different cultures might consider that enabling or consider that taking care of someone. We just watched the Iceberg Slim documentary the other day, and what did the lady say about, why she wasn't thinking?
Oh, but she didn't want to pay his rent.
Yeah, she was like, I didn't feel to pay his rent. And it's like, you love this person. Who taught you that paying a man's rent is something beneath you or something lowly? Like, especially when they live in the house, or just the concept, the intent behind paying someone when it's rather than taking care of one's family.
It was the context by which their relationship was. Like, I could see issues and why women wouldn't want to pay somebody rent, just like I could see issues why men wouldn't want to pay somebody rent. But in their circumstance, it was very trivial based on all of the other stuff that had happened in that. And she even says so at the end. You know what I'm saying? What I'm saying, or what I think the issue again in why these relationships ain't working is because of hubris and pride on everybody's side. Everybody's situation is worse than everybody else because everybody was abused and we all still being abused, but nobody's going to the main abuser to stop the abuse. They just want to keep going at the other victims and the fake influencers or enablers that are acting like they're trying to get to the bottom. These are the Gayle Kings and the, you know what I mean, these type of situations where they think they could do a documentary to bring awareness to the situation, but really it's a hit piece on whatever's target they're doing, because for every one black male that's out here pedophilia and doing whatever they're doing to these children, which is horrible, there's like 15 to 20 white males that's doing everything worse and legally getting away with it right now. While me and you talking right now, they abducting children, and these niggas got a system. And they created now a new fake system where now this dude that's in there, they fake president that's in there, is now trying to get rid of all of the pedophile stuff that was out there, trying to stop this from happening. So this is what you people have voted for, not our audience really, because our audience is really on point. But when I'm thinking about the mainstream people, what they consider mainstream people, these are the people, right here.
Yep, perfect.
These are the people that created a circumstance where not only have they now voted for somebody for a system that is basically in the support and the killing and the raping of children, but now the destruction of the female identity as well as the family unit is now on the chopping block and all of that. Y'all talking about guns, they trying to get rid of guns. No, nigga, they trying to get rid of your mother. They trying to make it, if you use the term mother, father in legal documents and all that got to get wiped away. So how do you have any correlation to any familial natural structure? They're just trying to get you out of being a human being altogether. And to keep it real, we never were human beings to begin with, okay? There's only one so-called race of people on earth. We really want to keep it real, okay? They could come out with all the different pictures of white people in Egypt and all this fake shit. All these Siberians talking about that they Native Americans and all that. All of that is fake, man. Because when they sit down with somebody that really know, you see what I'm saying? All of that goes out the window, and it always goes down to negotiating or them pulling out Moorish relatives and their family and all of that. You dig what I'm saying? So everything they talking to y'all niggas on the internet about is really just what they doing to get the hustle on to keep you from investigating stuff that they got a handle on right now because they don't want you to get it back. And they want to keep you in a perpetual destitute fashion by which you constantly still believe that you're the minority. Like, you still believe that you're the minority on the planet. Like, that's the crazy, like, You ever? I've been in conversations where I've been with melanated people, me and Celina talking, and they refer to themselves as, yeah, well, us being minorities and all of that, and I'm looking at them like, what do you, what, what do you think you are? Like, who do you think you really are? What do you think? You believe that you're a minor? You believe that you're the less, that there's more of somebody else on the planet than you? You believe that? When they can't even produce a time that you've been on the planet. You understand that they found, and I talked about this back in 2002, that they found the genetic material patrilineal DNA of an original man from South Carolina that went back over 385,000 years. You know, that destroys the whole back to Africa, out of Africa, all of that. But see, at the time that this is happening, all of the continents is the same. It's one place. We've been here that long. And y'all niggas want to condense yourself to a period by which you fell, which is what they refer to as slavery or whatever you want to call it, man. How much books they done made off of that? You know, you understand? But do you understand that that whole concept was even created for you? Like, all of this shit is created for you to exist in, man. And they got you, they got us still against each other. Still out here trying to act like one is better than the other. And all that's doing is creating more subterfuge that allows them to stay around longer. So like I said, like in our personal experience, like just because, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I could have done lawfully, legally, and all of that to these people while we was going through that. And there was things that did happen, you know what I mean? Like they called the police, you know, they called the pigs and stuff, and they came and all that, but they knew what the deal was. Cause I know them. They live up the block. Like they be telling me out here like this for years. If I come on now, if I was out here doing anything illegal, do you think these people would be out here like like this? It's not like I got hide. You know what I'm saying? Not like I could do something like murk somebody or catch somebody on the jokes and they not know it's me. Like, come on, man. So
and that's part of being, just being smart. Sorry.
Yeah, so you know you got to be above board, and when you really live by the law, and I'm not talking about.
Sorry, yo, I'm just fixing something on.
I'm not talking about the law like you know, Constitution, stuff like that. I'm talking about the divine, the supreme law of the land. You know what I mean? You know, the law of nature, the law of Allah. Like a law is you go out in the rain, you get wet. That's period. You cannot immutably change that. Even with an umbrella, you're gonna get water on you. So I'm saying like that's immutable. Everything else is subject to negotiation. You understand what I'm saying? Everything else. But when you deal with the definity and the divinity of a thing, you see the truest nature of it. And in most of these things we're dealing with, there is no divinity. These niggas don't believe in nothing outside of what they could touch,
or money, right?
Touch, feel,
control,
or control, or rape. Like these niggas don't care about none of the stuff that we was raised to care about. So let's stop acting like we in a community with these people. Let's stop acting like there's something wrong for us wanting to detach ourselves from the aspect of our community that's dragging us down. You know what I'm saying? Like we all like bitches ain't shit. We all liked what bitches want from a nigga. We all like these derogatory so-called songs. And I remember when these songs came out, I remember seeing females singing these songs to each other, laughing and having a good time. You know why? Because we had the sense enough to know he ain't talking about me. Exactly. He ain't talking about me.
He ain't talking about me. And I know all the words.
He ain't talking about me. He talking about that bitch.
Absolutely. But and then you know what it is too. I thought it started thinking regionally. Like, is it different? Because I was listening to what he put me on to somebody that was hilarious the other day. He was like, "Yo, just listen to this while you making products." And I did, you know. And it's a brother that was telling. Basically, he has like a show, a podcast, and he talks to women about the truth, about what he believes and rates them and all this other stuff. And long story, I got it. I'm gonna thing and turn it, or you can run in and get the charger. It's not a big thing. But basically, he talks to women about what he really feels and takes, you know, is going on right now with them, rates them, all of this, uses numbers. It's by my desk. Long story short, it offends women, and I guess it offends different people. But I watched it and really agreed with a lot of what he stated. And I think that main reasons why women just don't like listening, of course, because there's some truth to it. But I also really peep game that when you remove the emotion from just a lot of rhetoric, it can be a lot, because a lot of women are driven by how they feel about things and what they feel about something. And again, when you remove the emotion, now you're just really dealing with the brass tacks of what it is. And that can be a lot, because people are like, well, no, I felt and I feel. A feeling is different than fact. It just is. And I don't know, my moon in Capricorn. Sometimes people are like, well, Aseer tells me all the time, the reason why we really, really get along is because there's an aspect of you that can shut the emotion off and really just deal with the facts of certain things. And that's not something that's an easy thing that can be, done. So all of that's to say, I do care about things emotionally, but to be solely driven by certain facts like rating myself or being honest about what I am in terms of society. I know what I feel, I know what I think I look like, I know what I think I am, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how and what society also rates, and what things like that. And what were you saying the other day?
I was saying, like, even that, the fact that you as a female gets put in a position to be rated or to rate yourself or anything like that.
I'm
like
men,
no, I dig it. But what I'm saying is, men, we don't really do, like, we don't rate ourselves. What men do,
what he was,
or at least what I understand the men do from the generation I come from. I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just saying the fact that you even have to do that is a byproduct of what I'm saying.
Or what you ask, just like the exercise.
The fact that females do that to themselves, the fact that it's gone from men objectifying females to females objectifying themselves and getting money off of it. You know what I'm saying? And then justifying the misogynistic, the pro-feminine misogynistic movement under the guise of female empowerment. And that is confusing to guys, because men, like any man that's rating for us, that's like rating himself compared to another man, is dealing with a deep insecurity. You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
We all are dealing with deep insecurities, but as a man, at least to men that I've spoken to, or who consider themselves men, because that's even subjective, or people want to believe that's subjective now. You accept what's negative or not up to what society part to yourself by yourself.
Absolutely.
So if I'm never gonna be 6'5", there's a part of me that will accept, okay, I'm not gonna be 6'5", but I'm a ball like a 6'5" nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how a man will equate it. He's not gonna look at it. It's only in this new society in which the men became more materialistic, like women, in the context, let me rephrase that. Not to say that women are materialistic, but materialism is the realm of women. Women like to see things materially manifest. A man wants to see that, but may not necessarily put a time on when that is going to happen. He'll project it and work towards that, but it won't be like, if it don't happen by then, I failed. Unless it gets to that point, and then it's like, fuck, I failed. But he's not going to move on to that. So with the female, it's different. You are given things because you need to get things cool to provide the next version of me or whoever that's going to come on the planet. So materialism is inherent in making sure that the nest is fine for you to have what you have. But if I don't have a female, I'll just be out there doing whatever. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you in every way. I also, what highlighted was when you were saying, I'm a ball like a 6'5" nigga. It's the same thing in terms of what, and it was an exercise. I don't rate myself, but I am aware that, okay, I'm 4'11", I'm not, 5'7" or taller. Yes, my weight is a certain weight. I'm not a heavy woman, I'm a petite woman, and in being petite, it might be counterproductive to have a strong voice the way I have, because a strong voice represents the Brooklyn. It represents something that might say, oh, this person doesn't submit and she's difficult to listen. Things of that quality is also what we were talking about, and stating, okay, I might feel, 6 foot some days, but I'm 4'11". In reality, same thing in just saying, okay, I've the bodies, how many bodies? I have two bodies on me, but in having two bodies, what does that really mean? Being with all of these different things in terms of what women feel takes them out or makes them better or allows them to desire or attract. What's great is opening the dialogue so that we can start to share, hey, even though you only have been with two men, that might equate more of a headache to some men than women that have been with 30, 50, 70, 80 plus
But the
partners.
reality aspect also, though, that's really not really nobody business. Like how many people you've been with, how many people you haven't been with. The only person's business is that is the person that you with.
In the relationship
What I'm
with.
saying is that people are basing their reality and their relationships on what they feel like they have to share about themselves in order to be
And that can
liked,
be a lie.
in order for them to be getting up. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
they creating this reality for themselves and basing their relationship on what a relationship for somebody that's not even technically alive. Like all of these relationships, 10 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, when black people get together, they talking about some shit that they seen on their internet or TV. They not talking about they direct self. They not talking about they interpersonal stuff. And even when they doing that, they talking about their problems. They talking about their problems. They talking about what niggas they don't like, what bitches they don't like, and they talking about.
So you do see the difficulty in building trusting relationships. If that's the springboard that most people, it's the same thing, as you someone that would be, oh, you have your degree in this or you're a therapist. Well, what have you gone through? That's something that a lot of people want to know. What have you experienced personally? And you don't share that until you're in a situation, like you said, whether you're hired or hired therapist or hired to be a trusted life coach or one of these things. And sometimes it's to be aware, are you creating situations in which you're going to constantly have to rehash the things that you've grown out of, whether they be traumatic events or things that didn't happen to you but you still had to endure, losing a parent, all of these different things. And that's the important part of digesting the lesson, is knowing, okay, I am aware based on having gone through, but I don't want any of these things to reflect, or I don't want to carry this energy. So I'm going to know the lesson and not necessarily put myself in situations where I have to always talk from the self or prove to others. You only do that in situations like you expressed, where you are hired or you do things. And in having that conversation and him just saying, do you see why? It's like, yes, this is why I learned my lesson, and not comparing myself to other women, because the sliding scale is so great that you really will fall through unless you create a union or have someone that is willing to really get to know you. And that means get to know you beyond what you are on paper. It's exactly what we talked about, even in attracting this apartment or in attracting anything in life. You have to know when to at least learn when it's best. Like in getting this apartment, there's little things that I did, like not be seen until I was accepted.
Until we was in.
Absolutely.
You're not gonna see me until I'm actually in.
Because my paperwork, my everything on paper looks totally different than what someone might think this archetype should look like. My credit's over 750. Little things that I started realizing, wow, when I go to walkthroughs in apartments, I'm not even entertained. But if I fall back and let my paperwork do the talking, perhaps I'll get through the Golden Gate. And that's how things have worked for me. Should I have to do things like that and express? But yes, if I am giving advice to someone who keeps getting slammed, who keeps getting the door shut, I might give them advice like, you know what? Try doing it like this, that, and the third. And don't really let them see you until the check clears and they have to give you the key. Why? Because maybe your art, you understand? So that's really like the backdrop of understanding what you bring to the table and how to allow it to work to the best of your ability as well. And that's not some like y'all putting you on. That's just game that I've learned for self, like in terms of talking to other people. Oh, how did this person, and how do you get out of trauma by not entertaining situations at all? Have you speak about certain things in that regard or realm? So even though I've gone through this, that, and the third, these I didn't really go through them. They're things that happened to teach me how to be more discerning, how to be more protective of my private space, how to you understand?
You have to know that everybody is
Yeah,
in the
sweetie.
same situation, just in a different compartment. So the problems that you're dealing with as the homeless person on the street, the trillionaire is having the same problems. He's just having it the way a trillionaire has it, and this person having it the way a homeless person has it. But at any given time, those two people can flip positions. That's the only reason why people still live life, because they know at any given moment it could switch up. And so that is what the devil uses, that hope that things could get better tomorrow. That's what they're using to kind of get you to still participate in your own execution. You understand what I'm saying? By getting you to believe that maybe this year they'll actually accept me and love me. No, that's the carrot that's dangled in front of the horse to keep going and realize, to make it forget that it ain't drink water in a day or two. You dig what I'm saying? That's the thing that's going to get you there, all to the point that once you're there, you're so exhausted you can't even enjoy it
Enjoy what
because
you
you're dead.
built.
And that's what
Absolutely.
is happening. They're getting you to kill yourself. They convinced a whole generation of women to get rid of any evidence of having a man, but to keep making babies. But
So where's the marriage?
the only
Mm-hmm.
female that was told and almost forced, coerced to do that was you, original woman. You dig what I'm saying? And now we are seeing the harvest. We're seeing where it's come from, all of this. To the point where, like I said, where you have somebody like Maxine Waters been in the game for over 50 plus years and ain't do nothing. Nothing has changed in any ghetto in America. They've all gotten worse. It could be a dude. You understand what I'm saying? At the same time, and this dude is speaking to the other dude, right? About the empowerment of black women, how black women need to empower themselves and be so self-sufficient that there's nothing they can't do for themselves. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, but when Sister Soldier
That's
was
so
talking this,
horrible. She was
right? But when I
cast.
was watching, you know what I'm saying? Like when
Mm-hmm.
Sister Soldier was talking this, Puffy and Bill Clinton and y'all niggas jumped all over her and was telling her how she was racist and all this other type of stuff. All y'all niggas left her out there. When
Mm-hmm.
Shahrazad Ali was talking this, when Francis Cress Wilson was talking this,
But what did?
what happened?
Thank you.
Why is it that y'all are cherry picking which females? So okay, we're gonna go with Maya Angelou and we're gonna compare Amanda
Toni
Gorman,
Morrison, or
and we're gonna,
Angela
but these are the women that
Davis,
destroyed. They're the
or
ones that created this color
no,
purple beloved culture that y'all believe that all your grandfathers was out there raping and killing y'all mother because you seen it in a movie by Oprah and all of them. If that's the case, then
that was
how
the
did we all
narrative.
get here?
Absolutely,
If
that was
all
the
of y'all
narrative.
was being raped by your grandmother and grandfather, and your grandfather was the worst nigga in the world, and so how is it that he was able to build a car, build a house, create industry when these niggas was allegedly slaves? You understand that niggas back then could create something out of nothing, could literally build a house, go into the forest, cut the trees down, build a cabin, put a family in it. And these same men, these same vigorous, strong, Asiatic, strong, mentally powerful black men were still allowing people to call them slaves. They were still dejected as slaves and still was able to bring us all to the future. And you want to shit on these men today because you read a Toni Morrison book, a woman whose daughter, read the book that Toni Morrison's daughter wrote about Toni Morrison. Read that book. But she tell you about how crazy her mother was because of socialism, because of communism, because of the rape that the white academia put her through, both metaphorically and physically. Do you know that Maya Angelou was not only a raging alcoholic, but she married the same handless CIA white man 3 times?
Yeah, but I don't think that people care about that. She was a great poet, and the narration and the story behind. And so, yes, you have to
Well, she
understand
was
that
so great and all of
it
that.
interrupts a lot of people's perception and dream that they've built up. It's like the Wag the Dog times 10, or that movie that new series, Flack. We're watching this great series,
Yeah,
and the reason why it
about the
was
manipulation.
just the manipulation of the story, or having to sell more so what they'll get someone to do in their real, things like that in their real time. And it's like what you said to me the other day as well, like, in 2000, in 1999, it wasn't cool, but with people that are shedding light about the differences in just in the nature between men and women. It's something that I had to learn myself. I might be passionate about stuff, but about 10 years ago, I really looked at myself when we first started the Truth Be Told, and a lot of people see and spin off and stuff. And I said, as much as I feel correct about certain things, this isn't what I want to be known for. This isn't what this isn't the soul driving force, and they're gonna highlight this as me, as the soul, right? And I said, if I was a man, it would be different, but I'm not. I'm a woman, and because I'm a woman, it's not to say that it's not accepted. People listen to you talk whatever all day. They'll listen to you all day, but it doesn't mean that you'll attract love. You'll attract beauty and a baby shower and women that are there for your kid. It doesn't mean that. A lot of people take that as, what, she put herself and is helping so and so. Well, let's see how that works out. Let's see what happens when she doesn't have any support. Let's see what happens when she doesn't. And it's hurtful. He said to me, what I've witnessed with you is more, what did you say, more women.
Yeah, you'll have issues. Females will
Well,
have issues specifically with you, but will let it go with other people. Like if you have an issue with a female, it's like she just can't speak to you no more. But then this same female that I've witnessed been done worse by so many other people, they still cool with all these people. So when I see that type of behavior exhibited in people who don't even know each other, but it happens to manifest out the same gender, you know what I mean? Like, there's just certain flags that you just pick up on socially now.
What you're saying, and I think that even in that being such a consistent theme back in the day, it just allowed me to maybe be a little bit more cautious with my energy around women. It's not to say that I didn't want to trust or not at all. It's just when you're sometimes put in spaces to not even be able to express what you do or what you're great at because you don't want to slight or be all of that. I've just removed myself from it because I know that that's not fair and that's not a balanced narrative as well. And just being aware that we can celebrate and cheerlead each other, but it has to again be a reciprocal or something that's done. Not only you're doing it, but you're also being able to receive that energy. So just not taking things personal like that and being like, well, because, and again, what is it that what I realized, and also why I had to share certain stuff to even go on, is because this ideal or this energy of things having to remain in this perfect space or looking unscathed. It's great that, things can look a certain way, but the backstory might be this person is really focused on not being distracted based on the things that she's choosing not to share and show every day. No one's giving you, golden bars and candy droplets of, kudos because you say, you know what, this isn't the right time. Let me focus on this, that, and the third, because once I open that box, it's going to be open for dialogue, and I want to be out of the situation or in a better space so that the same thing that I'm talking about, I can have learned from and grown from and not still be in. And it's timing, having waited 12 months to do so because, 8 months or so, it definitely taught discernment on a different frequency and being able to give that type of advice by not being overbearing or anything. Is just saying, look, I know what works for men, but you're not a man, and the result that it had for them or for him is not going to be the same result that you're going to have because you're a 5-foot woman or you're a 6-foot woman. You understand? Same thing, the diet that works or the workout that works for this tall woman, you're 4'11", so you're going to have to do things that elongate and that stretch and that, thing rather than build. You don't have those long muscles. You have short muscles. So all of these little details are very important that we stop acting like we can't share, because they really do help understand, okay, now I understand coming from this type of credit, how to build it. You don't just, you know, I don't know. I guess some people have gotten lucky and don't have to do actual work. But that's something else that we talked about. And just saying that in order to get certain things done, you have to do the physical work. In order for me to get, I can do this tonight because I got all my orders out from yesterday and the day before. And so right now, take an hour to be grateful and to share your gratitude, and to also talk about why and what works and how you get more is by sometimes swallowing your pride in the moment and saying, okay, they might not be able to hear, so let me not talk to this group of people. Let me wait until I'm around and out of, you understand, and then I'll be able to share stuff every day. But until that, I'm not going to be able to hear myself, and I'm just going to be fighting, and that's unnecessary. So we don't want to do those things anymore.
Nope.
On any level.
Nope.
And even listening to each other, or tearing each other down when one might not have the same that the other. Knowing what balance and unique balance is in a relationship, and how to really not just want to change somebody. Aseer is an artist, he raps great, he does, but what he does well, support him in what he's doing well now, not in what you want him to do, period. Or what, same thing, you don't want somebody to tell you, look, you're a great dancer, but you started making jackets, just dance. It's like, yeah, but maybe my knees hurt this month, maybe. All of these things are important for us to take into consideration with each individual journey and story.
Like I said, we as original people, man, y'all confront and act like y'all mad libertarian and all this other stuff and all of that stuff, whatever. But we are naturally a conservative people. We're naturally a people who want to preserve what we have, especially when it comes to our families, yo. If you disagree with that, if you believe that it's better to have a family with no man, then you're the problem. You know what I'm saying? If you the type of person who believe that it's better to have a family with no woman, then you're the problem. You understand what I'm saying? Because Allah didn't make one heartbeat. You know what I mean? It made two. Therefore, everything in this density is dealing with a give and a flow, an ebb and a flow, a right and a left, a give and receive. There has to be an exchange, and that exchange cannot be polaritarily the same. It cannot. You cannot produce a current with two negative charges. It will never, ever happen. Nothing with two negative charges has ever come into existence. You understand? Nothing. There's no such thing as the Big Bang Theory. There's no such thing as that. That was created by a Jesuit priest named George Latimer. Period. There's no such thing as that. So when they talk to you that Darwinism is a basis or a leftover aspect of the physical aspect of the Big Bang, now you know that both instances are a lie. But these lies created the basis of the social framework that you are supporting right now. That is literally trying to make it so that way you can't distinguish your son from your daughter. And if you try to make a distinguishing factor, that they would do something to hurt you or to take them from you.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like they created a circumstance by which you cannot be yourself, but then they're telling you that they want to celebrate your diversity. Like think about that. They want you to celebrate the first so-called African American, which she's not, but the first so-called Indian, South Asian, whatever you want to call it, white woman, so-called vice president, while at the same time phasing out females in sports, female-only sports. Think about that. At the same time that you're celebrating to have a so-called female in the White House that came through as a soror of the AKAs, she's there getting rid of anything and everything that pertains specifically to females. And you wonder why they could rule you the way that they rule you. You wonder why you can't maintain a healthy relationship with yourself or anybody else, because you have bought into your own destruction to the point that you are willing to go and get poison injected into you. And then when you get it and things happen, you can't even get any remedy from it. So therefore, you literally, as the Bible say, die in your own iniquity. You understand what I'm saying? And who is supporting this? The people on TV. When I saw Dr. Fauci on Monica talking to the singer Monica from Love
He
and
was
Hip
like,
Hop,
it's done.
I was
See
like,
how they use
see, babe,
black people to sell the
they
agenda?
all are down with
It's
it.
almost like if we hear somebody that we relate to or
They
that
all
we think,
down with it.
then it'll open us up to,
That's how
do
dumb
these
they
things.
think black people are.
Like,
They
yeah,
think because another
yeah,
black person is doing it,
like we're talking to
that's
someone
famous,
that's not like,
that's gonna make them want to do it. That's how
and uneducated, and how
yo,
much of a target certain black women are,
and how
to
low
just
they think we are in intelligence. How low
and
that
was
because
obvious.
Monica
So
is
Monica,
talking to
she's not
Dr.
even
Fauci,
asking
I'm
the right
gonna take this
questions.
thing.
But they won't be on camera with me or with him
Dr.
because I'm
Fauci
gonna
would
go
never
in.
be
I'm
on
gonna
anything
go
with
in. I'm
me.
gonna go in. And also someone said again, well, what do you recommend? What do you recommend for single sisters? What do you recommend for women? What we said even the other day. Do you see why women are choosing to be by themselves and die alone?
Yeah.
And it's really sad.
Because the men buying now into it too. You got men that's ultra feminine, ultra whatever, ultras. They care more about the diamonds and the gold than the females. When I came up, that was the opposite. We didn't care about none of that.
But no,
we care about none of that. Not to that degree. We got it because y'all liked it. Now it's to the point where it's like they want to have the wedding ring. They're getting proposed to. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But they're being raised by single mothers. So obviously there's an imbalance of the feminine and the masculine energy.
But you can't say nothing bad about single mothers.
That's something that women don't want to admit.
You can't say that a single mother did anything wrong in raising you. That generations
it might not have been intentional, but the imbalance is there.
No, it's still the father's fault because he wasn't there.
Yeah, but did he push you out? So many
pushed out? How did it happen?
But there's only 30% of women that have actually are actually widows. So then you have to say to yourself, then 80% of people have even chosen to be out of these relationships or are getting out of them for whatever reasons. But it's like what I said. You don't have a problem with someone, but then have their fourth and their fifth child. And if you do decide to do that, then you really don't have a problem with them if you consistently are procreating and are choosing to bring their seed into fruition. It's a little imbalanced, but women don't like hearing things that are that direct because, again, it goes right to your heart chakra, or you don't know what took place between this, that, and the third. And also, it's just it's a refresher to say, something is off, and women don't always like hearing that. But again, to go back to the what advice do you give single sisters is really something to be humble with and to say, I think that women are a lot more resilient and are a lot more patient than we give ourselves credit for. And personally, I do think that women need just basic we talk about submission and all these things, but when you are smarter intellectually than someone, it's hard to tell a black woman that thinks she know to actually submit to someone that she doesn't feel it's got all their marbles together. So you got to ask yourself, what type of men are you really respecting, and what is it that you're really invested in? I always would like to tell people, if you don't find anything inspirational, motivational, this person does this well, there, you can look up to an attribute, something that they do with grace, whether it be make breakfast for their daughter or get scream. There's got to be something that you're into with the person that you can say, okay, I have patience and I'm willing to see what they're going to grow into. If that's not there, then it's going to be hard to submit, to respect, to have all the other things. I'm very grateful that I not only attracted someone that I really respect intellectually. Other people might be like, oh, I don't like how masculine, alpha, female. I still respect intellect and the fact that someone has the acumen to read and not always. So that's something I really valued, and not just reading, but being able to translate and take it into something that can be a positive influence in someone else's life. That means a lot to me, especially in today's times where our voices are really shunned and we're not encouraged to talk or to have any belief about anything. That's something that I always will really support. So it's really easy for me to find value, even if someone did it up or has baby mama drama or went to so-and-so. I'm still like, wow, this person still chose to read The End of War and Peace and to talk, or whatever, anything that just sits them down and creates some type of stillness and consistency. But, I think that that's hard for women to admit to now. So if you don't find that, I would definitely be okay with being humble and knowing that, hey, I might go out of this by myself because I didn't want to lower, or I didn't want to. You got to know what you're willing to bet and what you're willing to lose. I didn't want. You got to know what you're willing to bet and what you're willing to lose. Some people don't care about that. They care about just themselves, or I'm not going to be affected. This won't be thinged, and that's what's of value. So being in a long-term relationship might not be of caveat because your skeletons are going to be seen. You're going to have to live with someone. All the details. People have certain rules. They sleep in separate beds. All these things are of value, and it's not something that I ever wanted to experience. So I don't, and I haven't. But I also am humble enough to say that certain things that I've had to practice and do, I know a lot of other women might have had tisk about, but 21 years
and
later,
vice versa.
and vice versa.
You know what I'm saying?
But 21 years later, I'm very grateful that I didn't listen to the baby mama drama. I didn't listen to certain things. So let me just click that off. No, it's okay with that. But we continue right here.
What I think it is too is we need to just be honest with yourself, man. Be honest with the type of situation you like. Some females don't like nice dudes. Some dudes don't like nice females. Like, keep it real. There's a whole section of population that's on it like that, where they like somebody to treat them like that. So if that's how you like it, then those two people that feel like that should be together. Don't take that energy to somebody that actually really wants to like you and then try to pair with that and then destroy that person because they don't come from that love, hate, love thing. You know what I mean? Let's also keep it real for the fact that there are more original people together than not. Yeah, the divorce rate is high amongst our own people, but most of our men procreate with the women that look like them that they came out of. That's facts. If that was the case, then you wouldn't see no more black people out here, especially in America, the way that they try to promote the race thing. To the point where Google had to be shamed the other day because they had a whole thing celebrating Valentine's Day, and everybody had a partner except a black woman, and she was the first one in the thing.
She was like
by herself, hugging herself.
That's the
Y'all,
message.
that's the message that they trying to put out to y'all, and they use these mainstream black entertainers, celebrities, politicians, YouTubers, influencers to make it seem like that. When this dude, Reggie Rice or whatever his name, allegedly beat up his girlfriend, everybody was talking about how black male toxic masculinity is out here, this, that. This white boy the other day, who was probably a tranny football player, beat this black woman almost to death. Right? Almost to death for not bowing to him, for not treating him like the white god that he believes he is. And then after it happened, media blackout. Nobody say nothing. They still not talking about it, right? Then when they finally did interview him, he said he didn't do it. He said, I don't hit women. So what is he saying? He's saying that the sister that he beat is not even a woman. Because you sisters, you brothers are just extensions of these people's displeasure or pleasure in whatever momentarily fetish that they in. That's facts. I read the other day, I was reading an article about how this black man found this site with these white women, and how in the site they basically just berate black men and talk about, and these are black women, these are white women that are married to black men that have black babies and all of that. And they got a whole page where they in there talking about how they could do anything to this black man and he just do whatever he want to do for him, and she could do whatever she want to do to him, and talk about all the stuff that they do to them that they don't have to, just to see if they can get away with it because they white women, and they do. And you mean to tell me that the people who have only been out of this mental trauma for 240, maybe, let's say 150, 175 years, are still mentally in a position to be able to procreate with these type of people or these other so-called races, when we don't even have our own shit together, when we can't even accept the fact that we are made for each other and that we are what all these other people try to be about, which is why they so negatively against us and why they always be trying to berate us and make us believe that. And so we created a whole economy on debasing ourselves. We created a whole economy on berating our women and then from that, a whole economy, a whole culture now, because we divested in our community. Now they could take our children through ACS, through these same social communistic programs that was set up by these ex so-called Black Panthers, aka communist agents or whatever you want to call them, who then get involved with these socialistic communist programs that are there to destroy the family. And we again are the backbone. So now that they got their Chinese president in there, they are now trying to make Asian men, no, Asian people, the new Negroes who are discriminated against racially.
Amongst black people.
And so how do we inject that? We come out with the movie Boogie, where we get Pop Smoke to play the evil black male who's physically dead,
but has to be
but has now come back in life now as an evil antagonist, so that way he can what? Be dejected, so that way the black woman can choose now the Asian man, right, to be the one. This is after the other one that they got. I saw on Netflix with the queen. We was watching that shit with the Asian man. So I'm just seeing how the Asian.
Now they're talking about the one with Yahara's job.
Right.
Yahara's job.
Right.
You know, just agendas through
this agenda.
Beautiful black women that are just so enamored and just. Oh
whenever you're with the black man, though, it's a problem. But when every other man in the thing, and this is just on TV. Now remember, none of that's real. None of this is real. But this is what they're promoting so much, because they know they divested the youth from the family structure. So the youth is going to just eat it up and believe, okay, maybe this is a way that I can be in a situation where the police won't kill me because I'm married to an Asian, or because I'm this, or because I'm that. Always something to negate who we are. So that must mean we are the most illest, greatest people in the universe, because if every race is constantly trying to come out and say how disgusting and messed up we are, it must be the exact opposite in the real reality, because nobody worked that hard for something that ain't true. That's something that is true. The truth, if we was really what they say that we are, then we would just be extinct already. Meanwhile, everybody else is going extinct but us, regardless to the Planned Parenthood, which in the beginning was called the nigger project. Okay, so when you think of feminism, when you think of that, remember these black feminists and all of that are also the pro-abortionists. And remember, the pro-abortionists are really white supremacists. It's a fact. That's what it is, because that's what it was set up to do. So all the original women that went behind the so-called white feminist movement and started pumping up people like Shirley Chisholm and all of these people, not knowing that she was really an abortionist, not knowing she was really down with the whole, get the man out the home, we need to be feminine, women are doing it by themselves, right? We are the generations now paying for all of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, we are. But with that, we're going to come back tomorrow or the next day and try to do another one. Not be too much. SeerTheDukeOfTears.com. Gumroad is the same. And I'm sorry if it looks a little weird, but we have two cameras going, so you can't see him in this one and you can't see me. So we're just balancing it. Also, thank you to everyone who's ever supported CordobaOrganics.com. And it continues to spread the love and just ancient skin alchemy. And the fact that I've been doing it for myself since 2010. And it is something I'm very proud of, because so many people are often encouraged to do stuff with groups of people or with lots. And that just wasn't something allotted with my given circumstances of raising my son and moving out of New York. And again, you don't have to do things the way in which people have necessarily programmed or made you feel like you've got to consistently just do it like that or it's not going to work. Thank you guys for reading labels, for reading ingredients, for believing and feeling the difference in things.
For supporting intelligence, for supporting creativity, self-determination, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality. We want to support every original people who can stand excuse me, I don't even like using that. Original man and woman working together to be in a unit to produce us a dynasty that can last past this horrible period that we find ourselves in. Support each other. Let's not hate on each other, right? Let's try not to hate on each other. Don't vaccinate yourself. Don't vaccinate your soul out of your body by listening to these devils that have nothing to do with humanity, that have nothing to do with anything to help our people who have only always been here to feed on our carcasses. You understand? Stop
Thank
giving
you.
them the ability to feed off of you and your children, man. Say no and divest to these celebrities and these other people that's not doing anything to help you other than give you more useless imagery and more fake narratives for you to divest your
And more biological
and more
weaponry
biological weaponry, exactly, used
to
against
just
you and your
separate us.
family.
Thank you guys for feeling the difference. Yes, because
Word.
I really do strain banana peel and plantain. I
Know the
really
real,
do
man.
chuck aloe. I really don't preserve anything with chemicals.
Not
I really
everybody is
only
out
use
here trying to
rosemary
destroy
extract.
things. There are
I
people trying
don't
to
use
build, man.
water. I don't use safflower carrier oils. And it means so much to me because it does feel different on our skin and on our face. We can't use
Word.
those things, and no disrespect to people that might, but I don't use any shea butter. I don't use any safflower or soy. I don't use any of that because I wanted to really be true to giving ourselves stuff. So even when I read stuff and it's like, oh, it doesn't smell like mango, there is no mango essential oil. There is no pineapple essential oil. You can get essences from infusion, but you can't have things smell like candy
Don't
or,
believe the hype,
or
man.
like bubble gum, and it worked the same way something that rosemary
That
or
same energy
neem.
that y'all support all of this fake mainstream stuff, man. Support the homie, man. Support
And we
real,
do.
and not
If
just
you
us. I
have
mean, like
anybody that's
anybody
doing
that you see
anything,
doing
real
real stuff.
teas, real anything,
That's
you
not,
know.
especially if they're not endorsed by the mainstream. Those are people y'all need to be rocking with the first, man.
And thank you guys for looking beyond
For
magazine
real, man.
write-ups and knowing that there's people out there that are
That's
really
really doing it.
putting their heart and soul and aren't being triggered by outside energy, because it does mean something to
It
me
do.
to keep our products protected and to keep my energy at the highest. And in order to do that, yes, I do know I'm going to be triggered and being told this is the this. Don't believe people that are just trying to bring you down and create division and hate and doubt more
Support
than
your nation,
anything.
man.
Support
Start with
each
your
other
family. Support
and
your nation. Support
be
your
there for one
empire.
another, and also protect each other. Protect
Word.
yourselves
Protect the woman. Protect the
venomous,
man.
from
Protect your
demons,
children.
from rapists, from people
From
that just want to
Satanists.
hurt and see you fail and see
Word.
you not
From
do
haters.
good. And don't talk about it until you manifest it, because there's not a
Don't
lot
tell
of
these
people
niggas shit
that
until you
might
do
be
it, bro.
out there that really love what you're doing. So unfortunately, I would love to be as open and vulnerable, but it's not what you're always received with. And you just have to protect your loved ones in your heart and your soul, and know that you're here beyond this material realm and this physical, and that what you leave behind does matter. And it's okay to want to leave behind soft and velvety and silky. It doesn't mean you're weak
It's okay
or
to be a
something's
woman.
wrong with
It's
you.
okay to be a man. It's
Good
okay
night,
to
you
have an
guys.
opinion.
I gotta go and do some work. I promise from midnight to 2 I'd start again. So, Ancient Skin Alchemy,
Peace.
CordobaOrganics.com. Peace, you guys.
Peace.
Stop it there. And I don't even know how to stop it. I think I press. Are you sure you want to stop streaming?